crazy, 72 hours, I would say?
Yeah. I mean, a lot's been said about it. I saw somebody, the Dave Portnoy show, tweet out that clip of the, first of all, I'm so noodly, it's crazy. But the Stephen A. Smith. No.
Yeah.
I told you I'm noodly. Of when he was threatening Kyrie, being like, oh, you thought it was bad. That I didn't clip out. I mean, a lot of it's been said already, but yeah, it's been a nutty, obviously, with Marty Mush, Rhea news. Pretty crazy stuff. I found out about it after Rough and Rowdy. I saw maybe a tweet about it, but I didn't really think much of it. And then after Rough and Rowdy, a bunch of us went out, met at a bar.
You didn't go to Rough and Rowdy.
What?
Canelo.
I told you, I'm fucking a noodle. So after Canelo, we met at a bar. Total noodle. I am a total noodle. I have some prescription Adderall to try to wake my head up, a little coffee to try to get going. But I'm a total noodle, not much sleep. And the time change, everything, noodle. So anyways, we met up at the bar, and I think Roan said it first. He's like, you hear the news? It's like, what are you talking about? And he told it. So that's when I found out about it. It went wildfire. Everyone pretty much had the same reaction as Marty. Like, that's insane. I said, yes, Caleb legitimately wanted Marty to walk the plank. I thought he was joking. I'm like, what do you mean walk the plank? He's like, you got to make him walk the plank. Tell him there's a 1% chance this will go away if he walks the plank. And then when he jumps, be like, nope. So it was wild. Then I talked to Big Cat. Like 20 minutes later, he was beside himself, as mad as I've really ever seen him. And then everything kind of went from there. That has been said online. I saw what, as Marty joined, I saw what Marty said on the Marty, Terry,
Jerry
show. So, and I've said what I've said, which you know, I kind of stand by. I don't think much is going to change in this show. I think there is great discrepancy in the timeline. Like, I think Marty's lying about the timeline. I think Rhea's lying about the timeline. But to me, the timeline's not overly important. It's still Hank dated Rhea for close to 4 years, if not 4 years. It was a super serious relationship. And to have to sit next to the guy that now is dating your ex, who basically dumped you when it was very serious, sucks. If it wasn't Hank and it was somebody that I haven't known for a long ass time, would I care, or would I be like, oh my God, I'm not going to do content? No, but it is. So, and it's what I said. To me, that decision, which Marty had to know, that it was career suicide. He had to know that. That's no different than if I was dating Silvana for 2 years, 3 years, and somebody here start dating her pretty quickly after. I'm not going to like you, and I'm not going to associate with you. And that's a decision that was made. Like, you can't and I heard Marty say, well, we didn't mean to. We're in the same friend group. You always have a choice. You always have a choice. Like, so choices were made, and you got to deal with the consequences. No other way to deal with it. And, you know, I've seen Kevin a little bit like relationships and 30 and Keegs and this, fine. Yeah, but this is a very unique situation to this office. It was a very real relationship. Daniela, who is like my assistant, right, and does a lot for me and dates Jet Ski, and they've dated for 3 years. And we were talking a little bit. I'm like, Daniela, if you were like in love with Jet Ski, which she is, and want to get married and settle down, and Jet Ski dumped you, and then it turns out, you find out like 6-8 months later, you're sitting next to the guy who is now fucking him and dating him, how would you feel? She's like, I'd be sick. I can't come to the office. That's the situation we're in. So I agree almost with everything that Big Cat said. And I know Marty's here. I even don't know what he's going to say. I know he said, like, I didn't have a relationship with Hank, this, that, whatever. Fine. I don't really care. It's like, I have a relationship with Hank. It's not like we're the mob, but you don't go against the family, and you certainly don't go against the made man, of which Hank is one. So I'm going to have his back. That shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who knows anything about me. I'm probably loyal to a fault. I love Hank. He's been with me forever. He's a Milton guy. I think what Rhea did is for sure a bigger scumbag move than what Marty did, in the sense that it's like, well, I didn't have a relationship with Hank. I still thought they were friends. But if you actually care about somebody, and I assume they did the way they broke up, and I like Rhea till this point. I was a big fan of hers. You can't let that happen either. It's like you just have no respect for Hank for putting him in that situation. It's disgusting. So that's how I feel about it. And what I said also in a tweet of like Rhea, and I tweeted, who knows what will happen with Rhea. Rhea has chicks in the office. It's successful. They make money. Her contract will eventually be up, and she may be like, I don't want to work here. There's like hostile now. I don't know that will be. The girls have her back. Like, I'm not going to be mean to her. I'm just not going to associate with her either. Not that I did that much before. It'll be up to her. Marty has, I think, till February on his contract. He's benefited in many ways from, like, I did like Marty. I trusted Marty. And, like, I think he's a good role gambling guy in the sense streams and all that stuff, interacting with Dan and I. But neither of us are going to interact with him now. So unless he creates something quickly that is sustainable and makes money, he's basically done. I think he's pretty much done. So that's how I look at the world.
I mean, so it's just done. Because, I mean, you don't know what's happened with people's actual lives. Like, you know that they dated. You don't know what exactly happened. I am not apologizing for what I did. You can call me a scumbag. We're in the same friend group, and it happened. To fire me because of that.
Well, it wouldn't be fired.
No, it is. You just said it's because of that.
Well, but your contract will run out. We won't renew it.
Yeah, that's not because of my work. It's because of my relationship.
But a major part of your work is interacting with me and Dan.
I mean, I do have my own thing that I do that does do well.
What?
The Coin Boys, making money for the iCasino. You don't know anything about it.
Yeah, sure I do. You guys play you and Dana do that thing where you're playing online.
All right. I mean, I don't know what else. I'm not going to change your mind about anything. So, I mean.
But let's ask this, Marty. There's a ton of, I don't want to say concrete evidence, but there is concrete evidence that even you probably know exists that directly dispute your timeline. And I'm not even a timeline guy. Because
we have like a picture, like we all went out to brunch that morning. Like there's more people in that picture you can see. Like I know what I did. I'm not gonna, again, if I just keep telling you things, you're gonna be like, oh, he's lying. So I don't know what else I can say. There's more people in that picture. We were friends. We all were friends. We went to brunch. She has friends that live right by me.
But there's more than just that picture that I've seen.
What other picture?
I'm not gonna drag other people, but it's you should know directly.
I know what I did, and the timeline. I was single. She was single. That was it.
But fine. I'm not greatly debating like the timeline. I think it was probably closer to like a couple months than it was like a year. But it's still. And I've said this not just with you, with anybody. And of course, these relationships get messy and everything. But you knew Dan and I's relationship with Hank. You knew how long and serious that relationship was. I guess the question, if that was my ex-girlfriend, would you have done the same thing?
No, because I also I thought I have a better relationship with you than Hank, and like I'm not doing it against Hank. Like I wasn't against like, hey, fuck Hank. It was just like it happened, and I was like, oh, like I want to make sure this was a real thing. It wasn't just like something stupid.
But when you keep saying you think it's a real thing, to me that just means like you waited to say, but you were cool with like fucking her before like.
No, we
it's
weren't.
Still,
that's the thing. Like when we told.
What do you mean? So what do you mean by real thing?
Like I didn't. Like I wanted to make sure like we were actually going to date, and like we talked.
So did you didn't fuck till you knew that?
I'm not telling you exactly. I'm not telling you anything.
But I mean, obviously you did.
But that's just. But the thing is, when we were talking. Like I knew the repercussions. I didn't think that I would be not re-upped because of my relationship. I thought I could still do my own thing, which I thought was a little like I understand the reaction. Like I knew that was coming. I would do it again because I do really like her. So I don't know what else to say. I just thought that like I'm owning up to it. I'm not going against it, but it's more I didn't think that
actions have consequences.
Yeah, I just didn't think not getting re-upped because the relationship would happen. But hey, that's your decision.
Yeah, I mean, again, maybe I'll be wrong. I don't think so. But a big part of what you do is streams and interact. Like the Coin Boys with Dana, that's not like a job. That's not like a full-time job just doing that. So I don't know. I mean, we have role gambling guys that we need to be in the mix and do it. You are one of those guys. I've always had your back as one of those guys. I no longer have your back. Dan no longer has your back. Those are the two most important people in this world to have your back. I'm always going to have Hank's. And I tweeted it. I view it as much as if you did it to me. And your answer of no, I wouldn't have done it to you, should have gone through your head. You can make decisions. Like, you're like, it just happened. I didn't have control. You do have control because you just said you wouldn't have done it if it was me.
Well, I have a better relationship with you. And even Rhea told Hank before us all came out, and he said he had no problem with me, and that's why I didn't reach out right away. I should have reached out. And when I talked to Hank before this, and it's like, we're fine. It's like,
but
that,
I don't
you guys
get that.
care more. I don't know.
Well, no, I don't know what well, we told Hank. What if Hank said he had a problem?
But he said he didn't, so I don't know.
But what is he supposed to say? Like, hey, hi, Hank. Oh, by the way, I know that we dated for 4 years. I know, like, the one thing we basically said was don't date anybody in the office. I know it's like 3 or 4 months later, but I'm fucking Marty. You cool with that? Like, what in the world are you supposed to say? You also have no idea
what happened in their relationship. You don't know. You just know from the public. You have no idea.
I know Hank is not happy about it. And I know, like, I don't care if people are fucking around the office. Obviously, it always creates issues. But there is definitely a difference between hooking up in a, 4-year relationship. That's serious shit. You just stay away from it. It's no different than, as far as I know, the only ones that I'm aware of. And Kelly Keegs, listen, I don't know what she did. I wasn't in on the loop on any of that. I don't really care too much about her. She's not in my world at all. Daniela and Jetski, that's the only thing I can compare. Like, if those two broke up, they can't date somebody else in the office. It's just, there's a million people to interact with.
Well, when we're in the same group and we're with each other 24/7, we're working all the time. That's just, people
what
keep
do you mean
saying
you're in the
that.
same group?
We're in the same friend group. We're friends with the same exact people.
Okay, so you don't every excuse you can make, you could literally say, as if it was adultery. We're in the same friend group. We found you have a choice. And your choice was what you made, which you're just going to have to live by.
And I told you I would do it again.
Right.
And that's where I'm like, I'm going to live by it. I'm taking it all. I'm not going back at you. I understand what I did. I thought it was a bit much of a reaction of the not re-up. Everything else I'll take, but that's really it.
And again, the not re-up is, I don't think you can be valuable here without interacting with Dan and I.
That's obviously your decision, so.
Yeah, so you have 8 months basically to prove it. And I mean, it's basically, I think what Rhea did was far worse than what you did.
Again, you don't know anything. It's just I don't know.
I do know they had a 4-year relationship.
All right. I mean.
So, and there they are. So, have you guys interacted at all?
A little bit.
For us, yeah.
So, I mean, I've just relayed the whole thing. I don't know what more there is to add on this, except the one thing, and it's a weird position, and from what I've gathered, Hank's like, I don't really want to talk about it originally, is what Dan said to me on the phone. Obviously, the thing's kind of blown up. My main thing, Hank, and you'll clear this, you're not cool with this, correct? You weren't cool with it.
I mean, cool, it's not really my decision whether or not to be cool with it. Rhea told me, she called me. I obviously gave her my feedback and was like, this is insane that you're doing this, yada yada yada. But she defended her actions and was like, this is what I'm doing. I know that people are gonna be mad. she's a grown woman. She can make that decision. Like, whether or not I agree with it, I still have to respect it. So it's just like, I'm not like cool with it, but it's also like, what am I supposed to do? Like, we're broken up. We've been broken up.
Right. So that's kind of what again, and I'm not putting words in Hank's mouth. And sometimes I do react more than another person. I'll always do that, and I'll always be that person. I'm not a high road person. But if someone called me, again, in that situation, like, I guess thanks for the courtesy, but what the fuck is Hank supposed to do once the call is made? Like, fuck you, don't do, like, it is done. It's just almost, you don't get, in my mind, credit for being like, hey, we were scumbags. Like,
No, I'm not asking for credit, and I'm always said Hank also handled it very well. That's like, I'm not even, I've tried to be as most respectful I can to him. I understand what I did, and I don't, like, I'm sorry about that, but I'm also, I don't know what to say.
The other thing that I would say, just for context of the situation, because I think some people are like freaking out about it, is if I'm upset about the me and Rhea thing. But like, me and Rhea, for the last 6 to 12 months of our relationship, were like not in a good place. Like, it wasn't fun or like healthy or like good. And when we broke up, I was like relieved almost. And I've been happy like being single. So it's not like I'm like been like waiting for her to come back or anything. Like, I've been moved on like tenfold. Like, it's not, I'm not worried about Rhea. So it's like, I knew she was going to date someone. Yeah, I think it's crazy she chose to date someone in the office, but that's where it's like, she made the decision. She's standing by it. Like, I don't agree with it, but like, she's a grown woman. Like, Marty's a grown man. Like, he knows, they knew this was going to happen. Like, and if they didn't, they're idiots. But like, I'm not going to like lose sleep over their bad decisions.
So that's pretty much how I feel. Like, I do think you had to know Marty. Like, Hank is revered at this company. He's an original guy, and I do view it as it's to me. Hank, I saw Big Cat talking. Did you guys talk about not dating other people in the office?
No, that was Big Cat, and I appreciate all the support he gave me. That was a private conversation. That was part of a private conversation that he kind of took one little piece and cherry picked, I would say. But it also wasn't something that I was like planning to talk about publicly. But I would say the answer to that is no. And Big Cat kind of embellished that to for the public.
So let me ask you then the next thing. When you, and I'm again looking at it like me. If Silvana and I ever broke up, I couldn't imagine like seeing her out in Miami. It would be like, even if we broke up and things went well. Like, do you have that like feeling, knowing, like looking at this guy, be like, well, this sucks. You gotta see him every day.
Yeah, I mean, it pisses me off. It's not like, and that's where it's like, it's not like I'm not like upset. It's more just like anger. It's just like, and honestly, my like, and I think this is something I was thinking about last night. Like, Rhea asked me not to say anything. I didn't say a word to anyone. And she was like, don't talk about it. I was like, I hope I never have to talk about it unless you guys get caught doing something, which obviously I knew was going to happen.
But that's crazy.
Right.
That part just aside, crazy that you guys let the internet basically tell the story.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because I obviously like this is me reacting after a month. Like the first 48 hours after I found out, like it probably would have been a much different reaction. Like, I was much more upset and much more just like, what the fuck. So if like I found out the way you found out and Dan found out, this is your guys' first 48 hours of reaction. If Marty had told you privately and told me privately, I don't think this would have ended up happening the way this has all went down, right? Like, it would have been bad and you probably would have voiced your disconcerns and stuff, but like there was a way that you guys could have gone about this that would have avoided all this controversy, but it's also like that's on you guys. Like, I'm not worried
definitely did the same thing if I told you.
But then why are you doing it? What at what point were you like, what are you thinking?
What am I thinking? I like her a lot, so I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I if it was done privately, I can't say how it. I know this.
It wouldn't have gone down exactly the same way. Like,
I don't know that would have been as public, but I'd feel the same about this right now. Like, because Hank, if what Dan said to me originally was like, you really didn't want to talk about it. So I would have tried to respect that, but it blew up so quickly because it went viral.
Right.
Maybe I would have handled like the public side of it a little bit different.
Right.
Because to be honest, and I've tried, Marty's getting most of the brunt. People are like, why is Marty getting all the brunt? Because I know, I see what Rhea says. I've also heard like Rhea sometimes like mentally, I don't want to get into that. So I'm going to be much
She's-
more.
What do you mean that? Like, you can't just say that when she's been completely fine this entire time. Like, you can't just say mentally. Like, that just makes her seem crazy.
Well, no, she's had issues with like mental health during her time here.
Okay.
I mean, that's true. Not,
I mean,
not
that's
in a
just-
bad way, but like,
That's just yeah.
Well,
a
usually
lot of people.
when you call someone ugly, usually that would happen. But
I mean, that's 100% not the context. You know that.
okay.
Do you think that was the context?
No, I just don't
So then, what do you?
like.
Then why would you
don't
say
think
it?
you should speak for her?
What?
I don't think you should speak for her.
That's like a well-known fact. Hasn't she said that online?
I don't know.
Yes. So, I'm actually think I'm being nice
Okay.
because, like I said, I think what she did is worse than you, but I haven't really gone in on her at all.
I think the other thing too is like, it's obviously not an ideal situation, but the way it all played out, like 4 years dating Rhea, long time, a lot of feelings, all that stuff. But like Tom Brady, 20 years, true love, some of the greatest nights of my life. Like if you could have told me that I would have to deal with, my ex-girlfriend dating Marty Mush, but the flip side, like the trade machine is that, you get your unwavering love and support from your hero. Like I'm probably clicking make that trade. So that's where it's like, my anger and frustration was about the fact that I was going to have to deal with it. Like after breaking
Nobody should have to.
after breaking up with Rhea, yeah, it sucks.
Nobody should be put in this position. Now, that doesn't mean feelings. You fall for somebody. I get all that. But nobody should be put in this situation, and not to be like pity bag, but like that Hank's put in. I want it. It happens all the time. In this office, it happened to somebody who is very high and very close, and it didn't matter who it was. They're going to get this reaction, and the reaction is fair and to be expected. I mean, when do you ever see Dan react like this? Never.
Right.
This is as like clear and evident, and I know he doesn't believe the timeline. I don't believe the timeline. I don't think the timeline matters as much for me. I think anytime you do it, you just have no self-control knowing the situation to stay out of that. And I get once it gets going, you made your choice. Everyone now has to live by the choices they make.
I will say that's where it's like, obviously this, I found out a month ago, and like, say whatever you want about Rhea. We obviously dated for a long time. We're very close. Like I definitely pressed about the timeline, and like, despite all the pictures and stuff that otherwise, like I do trust her on the timeline. And the other thing is that if it was 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, like I would be just as upset either way. So it's like I don't even really like the timeline doesn't even matter as much to me. And it's also just like she was gonna if it was Marty, that's where it's like I don't care about as much about Marty. Like if it was fucking Kareem or like Rudy, Coach Doug's, whoever it was that she chose to start dating, like I was gonna be equally as upset. It doesn't matter like who that person happens to be.
I agree with that 100%. That's what I've been saying from the beginning. That's why I've said, even though I do not believe the timeline, I don't know that the timeline really matters at all.
I agree. I do believe the timeline, for the record.
Everything backs that up. But again, I don't know what else. Everything I'm going to say is going to argue, and everyone.
Well, no, it's not. To a degree, it's not really. Outside of that, we don't agree on the timeline. It's not. You made a decision. You had to, and it sounds like you and Rhea both knew. Well, this isn't going to be like go over that smoothly.
Yeah, obviously, I knew it wasn't going to be like, oh, good shit.
Right. So it's, I do believe it's marriage or bust. I wrote that. It's like, then it's like, all right, they're soulmates and that fucking happens.
Probably gonna. So good stuff.
All right. Well,
I would also just like to say, for the record, because I know this has like been a viral thing and there's been a lot of fucking eyeballs on this, but I do not give a fuck about the relationship. So when people like they're gonna be out and shit this summer and like doing stuff, like people need to tweet me pictures, like people need to let me know what they're doing. Like I do not care. Like I'm not worried about them, and like people, I know that obviously this has all been like a big story, but like I don't need to fucking have eyeballs on what they're doing. Like I feel like people are gonna be like, oh, can you believe like they're dating? It is what it is. They made a decision. They're living with the consequences or whatever. Like the punishment is worse than whatever, it's not even a crime, but like whatever has transpired, I would say like they've gotten their a fair amount of backlash, and it is what it is.
Yeah, but that's kind of like, I don't want to say, again, I think you're handling it well, Hank. I keep putting it, and this sometimes is, people could say a fault of mine. Like, I internalize it like, if it was me, you are going to get those pictures. That's part of the issue. It's like, it's so closely to, like, when you break up with somebody that you've had a long relationship, you just want them fucking gone. Like, it's bad enough that you guys already work together, which is part of the issue with a real relationship in the office. But then to have somebody else in the office date them, that's where it's like, how do you get away from it? And that's what would drive me nuts. And that's the decision that was made, that I know what they're saying. It's like, well, we're in the same friend group. It's just, no. There's always a decision to make yourself emotionally available. And that decision was made. Marty stands by it. He has from the beginning. Rhea's clearly standing by it. And what will come, is what will come.
Yeah, I mean, I told you, I stand by it. I went about it how I thought we could. Hanks didn't want to talk about it. We didn't want to.
No. Rhea asked me not to talk about it, so I didn't. I didn't like that. I was doing what she asked me. She was like, please don't talk about it, and so I fucking didn't.
Okay. Regardless,
I probably would have told Big Cat, and it could have gone better. Like, that's where it's like, you guys fucked that up. But
I don't think she said that, but it's fine. We're gonna go back and
forth. You want me to show you the text message?
It's fine. Just, I made my decision. I'm good with it. So,
Tom, if you're listening, I love you.
So there it is. I mean, like I said, I think most of it has come out. It is what it is. Like I said, I don't know. My crystal ball would be that they both are gone at some point. It'll be Rhea's decision. It won't be Marty's. But who knows? That could change.
Got it. That's pretty crazy, but
it's not that crazy, Marty.
A little bit.
Marty, you don't bring anything in without me and Dan. I mean, why would I treat you any differently than Rhea?
What?
Like, I'm saying
Rhea. I'm nothing with. All right, I got it. I'm nothing without you and Dan. I got it.
Correct.
Cool.
All right.
Love you, Tom.